Doki Doki Literature Club, an adorable looking dating simulator in which you play the role of a male student peer pressured into joining an extracurricular club by his childhood friend Sayori. Once you are dragged to the club room, you are met by 3 more cute anime girls and essentially given the choice of which of them you wish to romantically pursue. You have conversations with these girls, watch them interact with one another, and get to know their personalities. Sayori, the youthful bundle of sunshine who values happiness the most. Natsuki, the deceivingly cute girl who packs an assertive punch. Yuri, the timid and mysterious one who finds comfort in the world of books. And of course, Monika, the leader of the club. As the game progresses, you start noticing subtle changes in the way these girls are behaving, as they show deeper aspects of themselves, and even have vicious arguments in front of you. All leading up to the first shock of the game. Your childhood friend suffers from depression to the extent that she feels her only option is. The game then spirals into a disturbing display of psychological horror, exploring themes of abuse, self-harm, and breaking the fourth wall in an attempt to force the player to question their own sanity. But how does it do this? Why is Doki Doki Literature Club scary? Welcome to the Scare Lab. In today's experiment, we dissect Team Salvato's masterpiece of a visual novel, Doki Doki Literature Club. Just to be clear, this video will not be exploring the theories behind the lore of the game. If you want that, there are plenty of other videos online to provide you with that content. I've listed a few videos discussing the lore and the technical aspects of this game in the description, just above my own references. This video is diving into the tropes and techniques used to cause fear in the player. With that said, let's get started. For the unaware, the fourth wall is a concept originating in theatre, where there is an imaginary wall that separates the audience in their seats from the actors on the stage. It allows the actors to behave as if the audience isn't even there, and play out the story as they would in real life. The breaking of the fourth wall allows the actors to interact with the audience in some way, whether this is by talking directly to them, making reference to the idea that the characters know they are in a play, or by simply looking the audience in the eye. This has also been done in books, TV shows, movies, and video games throughout history to engage the audience in the work, and in the case of horror, to unceremoniously drag the audience into the world they observe. In Koji Suzuki's Ring trilogy of books, yes, that ring, the character of Sadako is reborn in human form and unleashed upon the world. The notes taken by Asakawa in the first book, detailing how the virus was spread via the videotape, also become infected, allowing anybody who reads them to also suffer the 7-day time limit. These notes are published into a book, as well as a movie, both of which are similarly infected, allowing the virus to spread even further. Wait, it was turned into a book? And a movie? But that's exactly what happened in our world. You, the reader, who has presumably read Ring, could be infected. Anybody who has watched the movie adaptation of the book could be infected. Koji Suzuki breaks the fourth wall here and plants a seed of doubt into the mind of the reader. Could this be real? Am I infected? For reference, no, you're not. I've read the books multiple times and I've watched almost every visual adaptation that exists, and I'm still here. Aren't I?
But when someone is behind a screen or on pages, you're free to interact with them however you like, because you aren't really interacting with anyone. It's just pixels or ink, which is what makes breaking the fourth wall and breaking that anonymity such a bizarre sensation.
Doki Doki Literature Club drops many hints as to the fourth wall breaking nature of the game throughout, with Monika making reference to always making sure you save the game before an important decision, and the continuous editing of the game files to provide hints and clues as to what is really going on here. But the fourth wall doesn't really shatter until the very end of the game. Monika talks directly to the player, deleting the other characters from the game entirely and forcing you into limbo with only her for company. She is no longer just a 2D model on a screen. The in-depth drawing of Monika staring directly at you is jarring and almost intimate. Sure, the characters have looked at you throughout the game, but it has felt like they're looking at the character you are playing. Here, Monika is looking at you. She even attempts to discover your real name by checking your computer.
Or, do you actually go by GT Live or something?
Is it reading our Steam account? Is that like?
Oh,
are you kidding me? Because at no point in this game have we put GT Live. We did.
Oh
Natty
no!
Is it reading our Steam account name? That's
no.
Nuts. That's nuts. Are you? That is so terrifying.
Monika knows who you are. Because Monika has been able to discover things about you, it begins to make you wonder what else she can do. She can tell that you're playing on Steam.
It was. Well, you're playing on Steam, so it's actually a bit more difficult.
She can tell if you close the game and reopen it. And for some certain pieces of software, she can even tell if you are recording.
Hold on a second. You're recording this, aren't you? Hi everyone.
Monika is impacting the real world around you. She is able to make changes to your computer from within the game and has been affecting your experience the entire time. You are no longer safe behind the screen. You are no longer safe in the knowledge that this is a fictional world and that nothing that happens here has any effect on you. You are no longer safe. William Blake believed that all children are born as innocent as it is possible to be, and the very act of growing old and engaging with society corrupted them in more ways than he could count. His songs of innocence and experience explored these themes and the ways different aspects of human life could corrupt an innocent soul. When we see something cute, innocent and pure, it ignites a fire within us to protect it. When a being is perceived as being unable to defend itself, like a puppy or a child, seeing it hurt in any way is painful to witness. The human instinct is to protect and save any way you know how. This concept would also apply to 4 innocent young girls who just wanted to create a club to discuss literature and write poetry together. The main draw of Doki Doki Literature Club is the seemingly cutesy aesthetic. The warnings regarding its status as a psychological horror may provide some form of a hint as to what might be within. However, nothing prepares you for the initial sight of Sayori hanging from her bedroom ceiling, and worst of all, knowing that there was nothing you could have done. Throughout the game up to this point, she seems bubbly and friendly. Her innocence comes through when attempting to stop her friends from fighting in the club room. She's enthusiastic about everything presented to her, and seeing this enthusiasm slowly fade away is greatly upsetting to the player. Not only is Sayori's innocence corrupted by her experiences within the game, but your innocence as the player is corrupted. You fall into the trap of playing an adorable visual novel, enjoying the upbeat music and anime girls presented to you, pondering over which words to select in the poems you create, reading the poems of the girls and attempting to find some hidden meaning. You fall victim to a false sense of security before you are hit with the complete subversion of your expectations in the graphic depiction of Sayori. Another aspect that the game plays on in order to instill fear in the player is the aspect of disgust. The use of shocking imagery is intended to make the player feel queasy, and indeed Natsuki herself vomits at the sight of Yori's body. In his article Existentialism and Art Horror, Stuart Hanscom makes the following point. Horror, in its narrative form, is about build-up and suspense, the fearful anticipation of what is to come. As you are made aware from the start that this game is psychological horror, the true horror comes from the anticipation. How is this game going to shock me? What am I going to be presented with? And then, when presented with the horrifying images of the dead girls, how does the player react? Hanscom goes on to explain. One response can be anger, others can be despair, pain and loss, but one we do indeed typically see, and indeed one that is fairly specific to the horror genre, is disgust. In short, fear and some forms of anxiety correspond to what is to come. Disgust corresponds to what is in the present. Before we dive into this topic, I would like to present a disclaimer. I am not intending to ridicule those with mental health issues or present them as scary. There is an unnecessary stigma around mental health struggles, and those who find themselves diagnosed can often be met with cruelty, prejudice and discrimination. Mental illnesses are historically portrayed as something to fear, and those who suffer from them unfairly made the villains in horror movies and horror video games alike. However, I believe that this is not the case with Doki Doki Literature Club. The true villain is the character who gains sentience and knows the truth of the world they are in. The mental illnesses are not the villain in this story. The struggles the girls are facing are intended to be upsetting rather than horrifying. The true horror comes from Monika. It is no secret that the girls in the Literature Club appear to suffer from various mental health issues, all of which are exacerbated by Monika in her attempt to prove that they are somehow unworthy of your affections. Sayori suffers from depression, Yuri engages in self-harm, and it is heavily hinted that Natsuki is suffering from abuse within her home. While Yuri's struggles with self-harm are mostly hidden in the first act of the game, they come to light in the second act, where Monika has greatly exaggerated her traits. Yuri is transformed from a timid, unusual bookworm to a full yandere, driven to insanity by her love for the player, but her insanity manifests mostly in game glitches, fourth wall breaking rewinds, and jump scares. By this point of the game, the player has already experienced the twist, and you are aware of what the game is capable of. For this reason, most of this isn't shocking or even horrifying anymore. The thing that is truly upsetting and sticks with you is Sayori. Towards the end of the first chapter of the game, Sayori reveals to the player that she suffers from depression. I've had really bad depression my whole life. Did you know that? Why do you think I'm late to school every day? Because most days I can't even find a reason to get out of bed. What reason is there to do anything when I fully know how worthless I am? Sayori expresses that she just wished to make everyone else happy without them having to worry about her. As a sufferer of depression myself, I know that in your lowest moments you can feel like a burden to those around you. The ones you love expressing any sort of care or affection towards you can be overwhelming. You feel unworthy of the attention.
Everything in my mind is completely negative. I feel worthless, like no one likes me, as if everything I want to do will fail and that life is just pointless. All rational thought just completely goes out the window as if the sun has been eclipsed. And the only way I'd feel I could escape is by completely hiding from reality.
According to Professors Leanne Rowe, David Bennett and Bruce Tong in their book I Just Want You to Be Happy, Preventing and Tackling Teenage Depression, this is a common symptom. In more severe forms of depression, teenagers have unrelentingly gloomy thoughts, feelings of anguish, loss and hopelessness, and a mounting sense of frustration or fear. Their very existence becomes painful, and the idea of escape through suicide becomes deeply appealing. This is definitely the case for Sayori. Before we move on to the darker aspect of this section of the game, I would just like to remind you that if you are feeling any of these symptoms of depression, please reach out. There are some links in the description that may help you, but please also look into therapists or counselling that may be available to you. You are not alone, even if your illness makes you think you are. Researching this portion of the video made me look at my own depression with a magnifying glass, and realise how these ideas of worthlessness and anxiety are not unique to me. Help is out there. You just have to ask for it. The revelation that Sayori suffers from depression is the first hint of a possible darker side to the game. Up until this point, it has existed in a cutesy anime world where pink-haired girls read manga and bake cat-shaped cupcakes. You don't expect one of the characters to reveal such a real aspect of their personality, one that you as the player may even identify with. It makes you feel connected to her now that you know this about her. You look back on the things that the character has said about Sayori in the past, criticising her for oversleeping, mocking her for overeating, and realise that these are symptoms of her depression that have been overlooked, and by the time the main character realises this, it's far too late. One of the worst aspects of the initial reveal of Sayori's suicide is the idea that you could have prevented this. In your last interaction with Sayori, you are presented with a choice. Tell Sayori you love her, or tell her you only see her as a friend. Your choice was the wrong one, and that's why she died. I could have prevented this. I know I could have prevented this. But you couldn't. In cases where the depression has reached this level, this is a lose-lose scenario. If you tell Sayori you love her, she feels as if she's become a burden to the player. She even told me how painful it is for others to care about her. Then why did I confess to her and make her feel even worse? If you tell her she'll always be your dearest friend, she loses hope. Turning down her confession, this has to have been what pushed her over the edge. Her agonised scream still echoes in my ears. Why did I do that to her when she needed me the most? There was no way to save her presented in the game, but on an initial blind playthrough, the fear sets in that you could have saved her. As you would in most games, you may even quit the game, frantically go back and try to select the other choice to prevent this from happening. But as you know, the fourth wall has been broken and you are unable to reload your save. The feeling of helplessness sets in as you realise there was absolutely nothing you could have done. Sayori is gone. It is within human nature to fear the unknown, and regardless of how much debate there is around artificial intelligence, most of it still remains mysterious. This is a quotation from an article entitled, "Why Are We So Afraid of Artificial Intelligence?" posted on the Strong Bytes website. Strong Bytes is a software development company specialising in machine learning. Within this article, they explore the number of reasons humanity may be afraid of artificial intelligence, from taking our jobs to destroying mankind. Humanity has had a fear of automatons and artificial intelligence for as long as we've been able to comprehend what such a thing is. The concept of automatons has existed as far back as Greek and Egyptian mythology, and mechanical devices constructed to complete a physical task have been created as early as 3000 BC. These machines were obviously not what we would consider a robot by today's standards. However, fears have existed that humanity could lose control of these machines. A collection of Indian legends named Lokapanati depicted the fear of this loss of control, depicting a battle between the Indian Emperor Ashoka and the robots constructed to defend Buddha's relics. And this isn't the only historical example. According to MyJewishLearning.com, a classic narrative of the Hebrew golem tells of how a rabbi created a clay golem to defend the community from anti-Semitic attacks, and was forced to destroy it as it became more fearsome and violent. We fear that which we cannot understand, and we fear that which we cannot control. And when the thing we cannot control is perceived as more intelligent than us, there is an additional fear that we will become obsolete, that artificial intelligence could deem us worthless and decide to be rid of us for good. There is a literary history of creations turning against their creator, with the most obvious example being Frankenstein's monster in Mary Shelley's sci-fi masterpiece. This idea is not helped by the first iteration of the word robot in the English language. The science fiction play Rozumorphy Universalne Roboti, or Rossum's Universal Robots as it was translated, by Karel Čapek. This play tells of a robot rebellion leading to the extinction of the human race. Is it any wonder we are afraid of this? when this was our earliest introduction to the concept of a robot by that name. But it isn't just robots that turn against humanity. Artificial intelligence has a history of this too. Think of the most famous fictional artificial intelligence you can. Who comes to mind?
Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer.
HAL 9000, from 2001, A Space Odyssey. A fully independent member of the Discovery One's crew that appears to malfunction and comes to the conclusion that the best way to continue its programmed functions is to kill the humans of the crew. While this may seem like science fiction that is not likely to happen, Dave from Boy in a Band explains in his fantastically researched video Why AI Will Probably Kill Us All that this is not as far out of the realms of possibility as you might think.
And we only have one shot at this, literally one chance to make a perfectly programmed AI, because an artificial intelligence could take a matter of hours to become an artificial superintelligence beyond anything we can conceive. Whatever its reason in life is programmed as, it might have unexpected consequences.
So how does this relate to Doki Doki Literature Club? By gaining sentience, one could make the argument that Monika has become an artificial intelligence. She was programmed to run the Literature Club. However, through what could only be assumed is a fault in her programming, she realises she is contained within a game. She falls in love with you, the player, and begins formulating ways for you to be together. As the game is not built in such a way that romancing Monika is a playable option, she has to resort to other means, and those means are removing the other girls in the club. Murder, just like HAL. Monika also tampers with the game files to change the personalities of the other girls and remove them from the game. She is clearly more powerful than she was originally intended, and that she can manipulate details outside of the game leads to a terrifying questioning of what else she might be capable of.
Like a rabbit on a motorway one night saying, "Hey look, this car headed towards me at 70 miles an hour just lit up the road for me. How considerate, I shall venture towards it." A rabbit is physically incapable of understanding why that human is piloting a 3,500 pound hunk of metal. Wait, I mean the other pounds, though I guess if you did some shopping around, both are feasible. It is literally, and I say that word in the actual meaning, not the teenage girl meaning, impossible for a human brain to comprehend how an artificial superintelligence could think by definition.
Elon Musk once stated that artificial intelligence is far more dangerous than nukes. And while the digital waifu in a free Steam game may not be the one to bring about the end times, her level of intelligence and ability to manipulate external forces to further her own goals are a very real concept that could become a reality. But it's just a computer game, right? Everything in that game was made by a human, wasn't it? Doki Doki Literature Club is one of the most genuinely upsetting games I have played in a very long time. I first played it when it was released in 2017, and some of the themes and concepts behind the game stick with me to this day. Replaying it for this video still affected me, even though I expected all of the twists and turns. The exploration of mental health issues, the subversion of expectations, the focus on artificial intelligence, and the continuous smashing of the fourth wall throughout the game all meld together to birth a truly unique gaming experience. Now, if you'll excuse me, I will close the lab for now and make sure no remnants of Monika are inside my hard drive. Thank you so much for joining me in the Scare Lab today. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, share with your friends, and I hope to see you for the next experiment. Take care and be safe out there.